It almost goes without saying, but where there is water, you will almost always find kids. That's why here in Florida, families have to be concerned about kids and water safety. Dr. Jen Arnold and Petra Viberilova from Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital are here with a few tips to keep your kids safe this summer. Good morning. Good to see you both again.
Great to be here.
This is so important. I feel like we cannot talk about this enough. Every year, certainly in the summer, it is so important for parents and kids and teens who are babysitting to always be vigilant and know their surroundings around the water.
It's hugely critical because we know that about 1,000 children every year die from drowning in our country, and we know that there's probably over 7,000 ER visits for that same issue, and the majority of kids that unfortunately are affected by drowning are in that range of 1 to 4 years of age. That's our highest risk population.
It just absolutely breaks my heart. So many of these are preventable. Of course, we know that accidents happen. So let's start there, Petra, because you always like to tell parents and remind parents and teens, you know, what are those preventable steps that can really make a huge difference?
So for that small age group of 1 through 4 years old, we go with layers of protection, basically preventing the child from getting into the pool. You may not be able to prevent it 100%, but to slow them down, you can take certain steps to do that. And one of those is I brought a door arm, and it's something that you can install on your door, and if somebody is coming in or out of the door, it will make a chiming sound. We also recommend putting locks that are higher up, because when do you know when your child opened the door?
You hear those accidents of we didn't know that the child was outside. They can
exactly.
They're fast.
Yeah.
So fast and sneaky too. They're proud of themselves opening that door, right?
Well, and I think too, we'll talk drownings. It's quiet. I mean, I think people assume that there's going to be these loud noises or that you're going to tell that there's some commotion. That's not more than likely the case.
Absolutely. Then we say you have a 4-sided, like all around the pool, we recommend having at least 4-foot high fence. That is very, very important also. And remove all the furniture away from that fence so they cannot climb, and remove all the toys so they're not tempted. Like, oh my gosh, my ball isn't there, right?
Okay. Talk about floating devices and different things that can help kids swim, because there's some that are good, some not so much.
Yes, so we recommend some floating devices or flotation devices that are U.S. Coast Guard approved, and that's something that parents should really look for. Typically, they're labeled, and they are also labeled for the weight and the height, for the weight range of the child.
Okay. My biggest question right now, my kids are 4 and 5, and it's like they know how to swim, or at least my oldest does. She knows how to swim, but she's still a beginner. Right? So it's like, what do you do as far as floating devices? And obviously stay vigilant, I know.
Well, vigilance is probably the #1 key. Never let your kids out by the water, by pools, or open waters without being vigilantly
You really brought the tags too, making sure that someone is watching everybody. You know, we're all guilty of being on our phones, but designate one person to say, hey, put that down, put it away, keep it nearby if you have to call 911.
Exactly, keep it in your pocket.
Keep it in your pocket or wear it. Designate somebody to watch the kids in the water. And you and I were talking about hotels and public pools and stuff like that. Even if there is a lifeguard there, it's always good even if 2-3 sets of eyes see the child.
Let's get to worst case scenario. An accident happens. We have about 1.5 minutes left. Remind us again about what we need to know with CPR.
Yeah, so worst case scenario, if a child does go into the water and is unresponsive, the first thing you want to do is pull the child out safely as possible and as carefully as possible out of the water. And then put the child on a hard surface, evaluate if they're responsive. If they're not responsive, identify someone or yourself to call 911 as soon as possible to get help on the way, and then start CPR. Now with drowning in children, we do recommend giving 2 rescue breaths and then immediately starting hands CPR.
Okay, 2 rescue breaths.
Yep, so, and then right in the middle of the chest, about a finger breath below the nipple line, hard and fast chest compressions.
And like me, because the last time you were here, we did a little CPR lesson, and I probably did it too lightly because I think people get nervous that they're going to hurt the child.
Exactly. Everyone's very afraid to hurt the child, but unfortunately, you have to push hard and fast and deep in the chest in order to actually pump for the heart. You're doing the work of the heart to get blood circulating to all the very important vitals, your important organ systems. So if you're not pushing hard and fast, you're not getting the blood pumping. Now, children, unlike us, they have very soft rib cages. They're less likely to actually break a bone. And if you did, you'd much rather have a broken bone than your child not survive a drowning.
And you even mentioned real quick before we wrap up that even rotating after 2 minutes, because it does get tiring.
Absolutely. So American Heart recommends that you do 5 cycles of 30 compressions.
Okay.
So you do 30 compressions, 2 breaths, and you do that for 5 times, which is about the equivalent of 2 minutes. And then you hand off to somebody else if you have that availability of a second rescuer.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for being here. Again, we can't say it enough. We want everybody, all families out there, to have a safe and fun summer.
Yes.
And again, it's just nice to have these reminders. Thank you both so much. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
All right, look forward to seeing you again soon.
Absolutely.